Hi, today I'm going to teach you how to install a vinyl floor. We are going to start with the most basic principles. The most basic thing you do is you always start installing a vinyl floor starting with the outside wall. You never start with the inside wall because sometimes the inside wall is not straight, but the outside wall is always straight. So we're going to start with this wall, which is my outside wall. The second thing you do is you have to choose your vinyl. I chose for my installation, I chose this vinyl packaging. The type of vinyl I'm going to use is the waterproof vinyl planks. The design is the dovetail oak. I put them on the floor, I spread them in terms of their color choices. The second thing you do is you use your tape measure. You use your tape measure to measure the floor from your breadth to the length of the room. You multiply that. So in this room, I already measured, that is a 12 by 16. You multiply that, it will tell you how many square foot you have. Based on that, you determine how many planks you are going to use. The second tool that you're going to use is a level. You're going to put the level on the floor. You check your floor, you make sure your entire floor is flat. The builders of this house built this floor, it's very flat. Thank them. The next tool you're going to use, and one of the most important tools, is a pocket knife. You can use a utility knife to cut your planks. The second item you're going to use, or the next item, is a hammer. The hammer is a 3-piece item. You're going to use these tools to hammer your floor in and keep it in line. The next tool you're going to need is what we call a spacer. The spacer, you put it in between your plank and the wall because the vinyl floor expands over time. So you're going to need these spacers to keep a space between your plank and the wall. The next item, I like to use a colorful marking plan because the dovetail oak is dark. So I'll use a marking plan to mark where I'm going to cut. You need a ruler to be able to keep your cutting straight. The next item that I'm going to use, I think that's about it. Now, let's look at the room. Starting with the outside wall, I already have my first plank on the floor. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to measure the full length of the plank. The full plank, this plank is 4 feet long. So for me, the first plank I put the floor, I like to put a full length plank, and the next plank I'm going to put down is going to be half of the full length. Here I have, I already cut it in preparation, but I'm going to do an example of how to cut the plank. This plank, you can see my red marking pen where I was cutting. This is a 2-foot plank. I'm going to install my second plank. The way you install the plank is you angle it at a 45 degree. And then you slide it right in. You take your hammer and the support for the hammer. You put the support. You never hammer the plank directly. You put the support. That's it. Now, in between the wall and the first plank, you've got your spacers. At the back here, between the plank and anything, I have my spacers. Now I can follow the measurement. I'm going to put in my third plank. Now we are going to, for the length of it, you can now choose color variations. I started with a very dark color. I'm going to put a medium color. For my next plank, I'm going to install a full plank. Right in. You hammer it in, Use the hammer, slides right in. And then you go for the next shade of color that is brighter. It's a brighter color. Now you slide it right in at 45 degrees and then you hammer it in. You're all set. Now, I started with a dark color. I went medium. I've got a light color. So I'm going to go back to a dark color. There you go. Change my mind. I'm going to go with a light, the brightest color I have. So this is the most important part of the design. You keep looking at your flow, you imagine it, and you play with the colors. I initially wanted a bright color, a dark color. I realized I'm going to do a light color so that my next color can be bright. It can be dark. Once again, angle it at 45 degrees and it slides right in. And then I'm going to cut so that we can cut together. I'm going to put the next, remember the next one, your first plank is always a full length plank. You angle it at 45 degrees one more time. There you go, it slides right in. Use your hammer. There you go. And then for the next piece, okay, now the next piece we're going to do, we are going to actually cut a second piece, we're going to cut it at 2. So we're going to use, this is an already cut plank, but we're going to cut it at 2. You measure, it's 2.5 feet, so I'm going to use my ruler and my marking pen. I marked the 2-point plank, the 2-point mark. Then I use my knife. I'm going to run the knife twice on the plank. I'm going to use my knee as support so that the plank doesn't slide. I do 1, and I do 2, I do 3, and then you turn the plank around. You use a fist as support. Then you just, there, I cut my plank. There you go. Now I have a half length plank that I'm going to slide right in. You repeat the process until you complete your flow. Thank you for attending the class today.